skies from Lewes High Street, and Lewes in East Sussex, not in Delaware. However, any viewers in Delaware, in Lewes, Delaware, are very welcome to join us. Usual chat, and radio television really covers from Battle to Brighton on the south coast, southeast coast of the UK, and that's where we're broadcasting from this morning. I would like to point to the downs this morning, but the sun is just poking over, and to show the camera lens full onto the sun, that means probably an expensive replacement of our camera phone. So I will not show that to you, but shall I tell you that it is a little cooler this morning, and in fact there is quite a steady breeze as I speak at quarter to 6, and that breeze is not warm, it is cool. However, the weatherman says that we're going to hit 31 today, which isn't bad at all, and then 34 tomorrow before we start to cool off towards the end of the week. I did hear some thunder in the middle of the night, ignored it, went back to sleep, but I'm also told by the weatherman that we have had some thunderstorms and we can expect them over the next couple of days. So that's the situation as far as the weather is concerned. A bit different to yesterday, but I think it's going to improve as long as this cool breeze drops off. And it is cool. I came out without my any sort of coat this morning, and I am feeling it a little bit. Nonetheless, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I started off with the peace symbol because we have a very good explanation of the Peace Garden that has recently opened in Lewes. Our correspondent, our man Paul Miles, does a very good explanation. It's in two parts because his explanation is quite long, but his explanation needs to be listened to or watched. So do tune in to Paul. Part 1 today, part 2 at the beginning of next week. And a very fine project it is. You want to know more? Okay, mirrordoortelevision.com, Facebook, YouTube, Mirror Television on both, and many other social media outlets. Oh, that comes off rather nicely, doesn't it? Social media outlets. Boris is in place, a very popular choice, 2-1 over Jeremy Hunt, and that now will let us see what happens. I would hope that a lot of this pulsing around being done by politicians who say they're representing their people or their conscience or whatever. We don't elect them for their conscience. We actually elect them to make sure that they represent the people in a sane and sensible way. So those people who are talking about bringing down an administration, it's not a question of Brexit or not Brexit. What is the question is we need some stable government, because all sorts of other things, not least of which law and order, is going to pot. So get your act together and realise what we expect of you, MPs. We don't want all this nonsense. That's your internal nonsense. You live in a bubble, and we're not in that bubble. We're on the outside looking in. And that goes for local politicians too, who don't seem so far to have come to grips with the fact that they've got a serious administrative problem in Lewes. And I suppose that that will also spill over to Eastbourne. If we've got one, they've got one. Or have they? Have we got now an administration which concentrates on Eastbourne? Now, I'm not trying to divide two communities that get along very well together. But if it's a joint voice, we'll get things done. And they don't seem to be doing. Now, in fairness, the new administration have only been in for a couple of weeks. I wasn't totally impressed with what they said on the night. The new coalition, but let's hope that they abandon some of their pet policies and that they actually come to grips with what is bothering us in this part of the world as far as the administration of Lewes District is concerned. Now, I really want to talk this morning about a baby that was abandoned at a day old in Chicago. Why Chicago? Well, it could have happened anywhere in the world. But the mother left a note saying the father was dangerous, but she had to get the child out very quickly to make sure that the child wasn't harmed. Of course, there was a lot of skepticism for the fact that she left the baby on the doorstep of a neighbour. But it took me back. It took me back to the 1970s when I did a phone-in program in the Birmingham area, and we were talking about this very subject of whether, in fact, our society dealt properly with people who had apparently either abandoned their children or were harming their children or in otherwise been separated from them. And I got a heartfelt call from a lady, and she said, Keith, for circumstances which were more economic than anything else, I had to give up my child for adoption. I didn't want to, but at that time, and remember, that would have gone back to the 50s. To have a child out of wedlock was considered to be an awful, awful thing. She gave up her child to make sure, as a mother, the child got a decent home and a decent upbringing. She said, now my daughter is 16 and can see me if she wishes. I am told she doesn't want to because she thinks I'm an awful mother. Now, one might be sympathetic to the daughter in this particular case, but she said, I have followed my daughter for all of 16 years. I've stood at a distance watching her go to play school, watching her go to prep school, watching her go to secondary school. I've stood on the edge of playgrounds and looked at her, and never once did I ever break my bond not to approach her. Now it's possible that we can see one another. She doesn't want to because she's been told, she's been taught that I was a bad mother and that I abandoned her. It was a tale that still brings a little choke to my throat. And the mother was obviously genuine. She was a lovely lady whose heart was aching over her daughter. The program was 3 hours long, and we went on to talk about other things and other people. She called back towards the end of the program and said that her daughter had heard what she'd had to say, had phoned, and they were going to get together. Now, it's a lovely story. As I say, I still sometimes can't tell it without a little choke in my throat, because everybody loves a happy ending, and in this case, it was a happy ending. What, in recent times, particularly with the dumping of this child, if we want to use that word, the abandoning of this child on the doorstep for what the mother says is good reason, are we going to listen? Certainly the reports and all the neighbours and all the experts are in there saying what she's done is illegal and pouring absolute scorn on the mother, telling the mother how awful she was and that she should get help and so on and so forth. So nothing ain't changed much since the 1970s, over, 40 years? Nothing has changed much at all. And I have to say that, having had some experience of this sort of thing, and having talked to the top judge in the land a year or so ago about this very issue, is that we are Dickensian in our approach. Particularly those people who are deemed to be unfit mothers are treated in a disgraceful way. If you want to find out about somebody, to offer some help, to even give some offer of experience and guidance in a particular case, what you get from the medical authorities, patient confidentiality. You get from the police, personal confidentiality. All the way along where help might be given, and might be given by people who have something to contribute, they are blocked, they are barred. And in the end, it falls to the police. They have to march in, and they have to either arrest or undertake some form of incarceration for a short period of time at least, of quite often mothers who are simply accused of not being good mothers. And this seems to me to be a barbaric way of treating it. And in fact, in fairness to the police, they have said that they don't like doing it. They feel that they're dumped with it. And it seems to me that if we're going to continue with this patient confidentiality, and boy, is that something we duck behind. Doesn't matter who you deal with now, is data confidentiality, this confidentiality, that confidentiality, so nobody listens anymore. And as a consequence, we are back to the Dickensian age in the way that we deal with some social issues. When are we going to learn? Not from the present lot that we've got in Westminster, not from the present lot that we've got in many of the departments, the civil servants, because they're not willing to listen, and they live in this, as I call it, a bubble. And as a consequence, we do incredible harm to vulnerable people in our society. In fact, we don't really. Oh, you read a lot in the paper about this person and that person. But as a general rule across our society, we don't know how, or we don't want to know, or we haven't developed how to deal with vulnerable people. Whether it's a mother who apparently has abandoned her child, apparently done this, apparently done that, because confidentiality means they don't want to know. Bung them away, bang them up, take them out of society. And that goes for the elderly. The dementia scandal has opened up by the Daily Mail is a scandal. It promised action 3 years ago. Does that ring a bell? 3 years ago? What did politicians start to do 3 years ago? Brexiteer, Brexiteer, don't give a damn which side you sit on. We are ignoring social issues. And we can't afford to do that. Because as a people, we will be ripped apart. We will start to dislike each other. We will start to argue and not in a sensible way. People will stop talking to one another. Throw the bloody computers out through the window, first of all. No, I know we can't do that. I'm not such a Luddite to suggest that. We do need them. But are we using them sensibly? Are we using them? And are we using our legislation to look after the vulnerable? Oh, I heard somebody sneer the other day. Yeah, I suppose Keith, what you'll say is a civilized society is one that looks after the lame, the sick and the elderly. Sneer all you want. It is. And we're not doing it. And it's about time that we start to realize we're not doing it. And it's about time that we start to ask ourselves, isn't it not a commission, not another commission? Let's be quick about these things. Let's gather a group of people together who are concerned and let them take a look at what we're doing. Because actually, politicians and civil servants hate being criticized about anything. Boy, aren't we seeing it locally. They hate being criticized. So as a consequence, they won't come out of the bubble. And all we hear from them is blah, blah, blah. Da, da, da. Enough. I hope the baby in Chicago is looked after and is well. But I hope some consideration is given to the mother. And that she is also treated with some sort of consideration. Particularly if her plight was that she was saving the baby. Till tomorrow, Keith Hayes, Mirador Television, Lewis in East Sussex, to the good folks in Lewis, Delaware, to the pip.